Welcome, I am Super Zigzagoon and welcome to my Wedlock attempt of Pokemon LeafGreen. So, to explain the rules, first we have the Nuzlocke Rules. I can only capture one Pokemon per location. Each Pokemon must be nicknamed. If a Pokemon dies, it's considered dead and cannot be used for the rest of the challenge. The challenge is completed once I beat the champion in the Elite Four, but it fails if I lose a single battle before then. Along with these rules, I use level limit rules on the Elite Four, the Dojo, and all gym leaders in rival battles to make the fights more competitive. I also ban the use of legendaries, which means I can't use Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. However, I'm allowed to catch Pokemon for HM use, but these HM use only Pokemon cannot be used in battle. Now we move on to the Wedlock Rules. Pokemon must fight in pairs, one male and one female. But I do have an LGBT clause, which I'll explain later. These pairs, in double battle, they must fight together. In single battles, they can only switch between each other. If a partner dies or retires, they must be paired with a new Pokemon as soon as possible. If you have 1, 3, or 5 Pokemon, you must capture a Pokemon at your first possible chance that has a gender that you have the least of. For example, if you start with a male Bulbasaur, you must capture a female Pokemon on Route 1 as soon as you can. You may not box Pokemon on your team except for non-battle related purposes like for HM use, but remember these Pokemon can't be used for battle. To replace a Pokemon on your team, it has to die or you have to permanently retire it. And for the LGBT clause, I randomize the chance of it being lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Here are the odds. It never really plays a big part in the challenge though. So, will I be able to do the challenge? Well, I've completed a Fire Red Nuzlocke before, and I'm currently going through a Co-op Nuzlocke. There's a link to the Co-op Let's Play in the description. That's currently on hiatus due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The base Nuzlocke for this game was one of the easier ones I've tackled. However, the Wedlock Rules should make the challenge harder. So, let's see how my attempt goes. I start the run after using the trainer ID to determine which starter I should get. It turns out I have to pick Charmander. Oof. I name him Ash after the anime, and because it's a fire type. Isn't that clever? Well, unlike other starters, Charmander is weak to both rock and water, which makes up the first two gyms. So this will make the start of the game rather tricky. So after acquiring Charmander, I have to battle my rival, which I named Jordan. I managed to defeat him without too many issues, so I go and make my first catch of the run. Meet Ash's new girlfriend, Rat Queen. I would have preferred capturing a Pidgey, as it would have been much better in the long run, to pair off with Ash. After some more capturing and training, I'm ready for the second rival battle. Along with Ash and Rat Queen, we have a new couple with us, Air France and Butterful. I was very thankful that I managed to catch a Mankey. I'm hoping that he will be very useful against Brock later on, but for now, the battle. My Pidgey was no match for his Pidgey due to me healing and, well, just being faster. I made sure I was on good enough health for Squirtle. So now we're on to Squirtle, and I'm just not doing enough damage. So I decide to Sand Attack twice and get Pidgey out of there before those Tail Whip's defense drops can cause me some real trouble. I switch into Metapod whilst I try to heal Pidgey. But once that's done, I switch back into Pidgey, where those Sand Attacks start to prove their worth. Jordan missed so many attacks in a row, I was just able to clean up for the victory. Hooray! So now hopefully Mankey should be able to take care of Brock. Right? Well, as you may be able to see from my team preview, Mankey isn't around. Well, so what happened? I underestimated the trainer prior to Brock. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll just have to go with a backup plan. I understand she's 4 times weak, but I don't have any good options. First, I knocked out Geodude. Luckily, Butterfree survives for the Pokemon I really need her for, Onix, and was able to get off a poison powder, meaning that if I can stall long enough, I should be able to win. So for the meantime, I can just use Confusion. This worked a lot better than I expected when Onix missed 2 times in a row. Unfortunately, it didn't miss for the third time in a row, so Butterfree Paras. 2 out of the 5 Pokemon I had have died. This is rather sad. However, the fact that this is a LeafGreen Wedlocke where I picked Charmander, 2 deaths isn't really that bad. I have a number of captures to get before my next major fight, so let's see what I end up with. I captured a female Nidoran, bought a Magikarp, and caught a Geodude. So I'm able to play with a full team. From this point forward, if I capture any additional Pokemon, they get to go straight into the box. Hopefully when I get my next death, I should have a lot of options to work with. For the next rival fight, I decided to use a Moonstone from Mount Moon to evolve Nidorina. Whilst it could get a few new moves if I didn't evolve it and waited, it will prove a lot useful for me right now if it evolves, and the TMs are just going to be a lot better for it than the moves that it would have learned. Yeah, so I evolve in Nidoqueen, and hopefully the better defense and attack and all that shall be useful to me. So the next rival fight, Nidoqueen does an alright job with the rival's first Pokemon, Pidgeotto. There are some misses thanks to those sand attacks. Eventually Pidgeotto gets poisoned from my Poison Point ability, so I switch into Pidgey to get rid of those accuracy drops and finish off Pidgeotto. And that works. Radicate goes down with no problem, and once Squirtle comes back, I switch back into Nidoqueen. Squirtle never attacked once throughout this whole battle. It had plenty of opportunities to do so as well. Squirtle goes down, and with Squirtle gone, the rival's last Pokemon is Abra, who can't attack, so that's pretty much the third rival fight done. Hooray. But before I tackle the Cerulean Gym, I head to the third rival fight on the SSN. Despite some close calls, I was able to evolve Magikarp into Gyarados, ready for this battle. I also evolved Pidgey and Rattata, but hopefully I won't have to use them for this battle. I lead with Geodude, knowing that his first Pokemon will be Pidgeotto. 2 Rock Throws was plenty enough to take it down. Next up we have Wartortle. I switch into Gyarados, who is hardly hurt by it. Not only that, but Wartortle kept on using Withdraw, with increasing the physical defense. However, up until Generation 4, all Dark-type moves were special, meaning that he's just wasting turns whilst I keep on using Bite. After Wartortle is taken down, we have Radicate, who is swallowed up by a massive magnitude 10. Oh, that is just absolutely brilliant. Well, if you didn't believe Radicate died in this fight, well... finally, we have Cadabra, who Gyarados was able to take care of with just 2 bites. Nice. So now it's time for the Cerulean Gym. I accidentally had Nidoqueen overleveled, so as per my rules, I wasn't able to use her. I'll have to be more careful, especially for the Vermilion Gym, where the ground typing will be very useful. She really wasn't going to be that useful in a water gym, and it really didn't matter as I didn't even need to heal once thanks to Gyarados' constant biting. Now for the Vermilion Gym, and since I need Cut, I have to box one of my Pokemon for a HM save. I decide on Gyarados. I mean, with its 4 types weakness, it wasn't going to do that much against Lieutenant Surge. I lead with Nidoqueen since it's just stronger than Geodude. I mean, at least for now. Anyway, the battle was easy. Lieutenant Surge barely even put up a fight, so that is Gym Badge number 3. Anyway, I begin to prepare for the 4th rival fight when I notice a issue arising. Out of the 7 Pokemon I've boxed, only 1 of them are female. That means if one of my female Pokemon dies, Sandshrew will be forced onto the team. So that could be a real big issue. Anyway, back to the rival fight. I teach Nidoqueen Shockwave to deal with the rival's Gyarados. Fun fact, the rival won't have a Gyarados if you pick Charmander. My mistake. Despite this, Shockwave seems like it was a good choice anyway, especially against the rival's Pidgeotto, who only used sand attacks in this battle. Luckily for me, Shockwave bypasses accuracy checks, so Nidoqueen is unaffected. Despite the sand attack, I decide to keep Nidoqueen out so I can use Body Slam on Execute. But it misses, Execute uses Leech Seed back, so I'm forced to switch it to Pidgeotto. Nidoqueen's partner. I have issues with Execute using Hypnosis. Gust isn't doing that much damage at all, but on the other hand, I don't have to do a lot to KO it. Knowing Cadabra has weak physical defense and Nidoqueen is weak to psychic, I decide to keep Pidgeot out. I have to heal him, but I'm able to take Cadabra out. If I got critted, I could have had a third death, but fortunately I didn't. I switch into Nidoqueen to take the rest of the fight. Growlithe goes down in one dig, and last up we have the rival's Wartortle. I keep using Shockwave. Wartortle's first move is Withdrawn, which won't affect Shockwave's damage. Hooray! Next turn I use the same move, but Wartortle decides to attack. It is almost half my health. Luckily Water Gun isn't strong enough and my Nidoqueen is faster, so I'm just able to Shockwave again for the victory. Well, that's another great victory, but Wartortle is going to be harder later on, and I won't be able to cheese it with Nidoqueen like I did this time. Next up we face off against Giovanni for the first time in this challenge. His Onix and Rhyhorn went down very easily, but his Kangaskhan proved to be more tricky. I was playing it safe, trying to keep out of Gyarados' crit range, so after a couple of attacks, I switch into Graveler to finish it off. Kangaskhan even managed to survive a magnitude 9. A 9! Kangaskhan can't do that much against Graveler, so I'm able to take the win. It's time to take on the Celadon Gym. I lead with Pidgeotto. I originally planned to lead with Charmeleon, but at this point Charmeleon's strongest fire-type move is Ember. I get Flamethrower in 6th level, so using the Game Corner is probably not going to be worth it for me. In the fight itself I immediately get paralyzed, and since I didn't stock up on status healing items, I'm in massive trouble. Victory Bell eventually goes down, but not with a few defense drops on my Pidgeotto thanks to that acid. Tangler is up and I swap into Nidoqueen so I could avoid the paralysis look. But she isn't doing much damage, so I swap back into Pidgeotto. After failing an attack, I suddenly remembered I had berries, and luckily for me, I had the exact one I needed to heal Pidgeotto. Thanks to this, Tangler is knocked out. Afterwards, I'm facing Erica's final Pokemon, Vileplume, who uses Sleep Powder straight away. I tag out into Nidoqueen so I can heal Pidgeotto. I didn't have any Awakenings, but I did have Chesto Berries. I mean, seriously, I'm getting lucky with these berries. I switch back into Pidgeotto. I use Wing Attack, and that does less than half, but luckily when Vileplume misses Stun Spore, I get even luckier when my Wing Attack crits, giving me the Rainbow Badge. That victory marks the halfway point in this challenge. By the next time you see me, I'll have explored a lot more of Kanto, caught several new Pokemon, and raised them to level 34 for the Dojo, which you'll see in 3, 2, 1, and... So, this is my team! Looks different, doesn't it? Oh, jeez. So, where to begin? Firstly, whilst fighting a Machop, I was speeding through, and the next thing I knew, my Charmeleon had 0 HP. For context, I was fighting bikers on the cycling route. Please comment below if you can figure out what happened, because I have no idea what happened. I replaced Charmeleon with Honey the Snorlax. With Charmeleon gone, I wanted to replace Radicate, who had outlived her usefulness. But here's the issue. You see this screenshot? Remember my lack of females? Yeah, well, that's them on the bottom right, all those females. Seriously, how did this happen? How did I end up with so many males? I ended up retiring Pidgeotto just because I had so many males to replace it with. With Radicate and Pidgeotto retired, I paired Snorlax with Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen has been doing really well, and I wanted to give her a bulky partner to help her out. Then I created a new pair with Dojo and Eevee, who I evolved into Dodrio and Vaporeon respectively. The final Dojo fight was a breeze with Dodrio, although Dodrio did almost die to one of the other trainers in the dojo. That wouldn't have been good. So now we move on to rival fight number 6. Between the dojo and me preparing, my Graveler died. I was battling a psychic trainer, and it's Mr. Mine new Magical Leaf. I just wasn't expecting that. Luckily, since it's male, I have plenty of replacements. I decided to go with Ninetales, a fire type that hopefully will counteract Gyarados' water type. He has some good moves like Confuse Ray and Will-O-Wisp. Hopefully both having rock weaknesses won't come back to haunt me. Hopefully. Since I no longer have Graveler, I start with Vaporeon, who has an Ice-type move. After Aurora Beam does less than half damage to Pidgeot, or Pidgeot. Comment down below which pronunciation you think is right, because I have no idea. I figured out that Surf will do more damage regardless of the weakness. The move should still be useful against Lance in the Elite Four. After that one quick attack, it was down. For Execute, I switch into Dodrio. Apart from getting Stun-Spored and Leech Seeded, it was an easy takedown. For Alakazam, I switch back into Vaporeon. It has Bite and Black Glasses attached, so it should be alright. In my Fire Red Nuzlocke, I had a lot of problems with Alakazam and Calm Mind. It didn't play that much into this battle, but it might be something I have to plan for against Sabrina and the next rival fight. Growlithe went down in one surf. Last up is Blastoise. Blastoise was pretty much a done deal. He can't do much against my Vaporeon, and I have plenty of heals. However, Protects and Flinches already made a slow fight even slower. Bite didn't do much damage at all, but eventually I was able to take Blastoise down. So that's another rival win for me. I leveled all my Pokemon to 37. Then I took on Giovanni. It was an easy sweep thanks to my Gyarados. The only issue was getting poisoned by Poison Sting. Although annoying, I had the healing items to deal with it, so I took the Master Ball, which I would keep a hold of in case I run into that elusive shiny Pokemon. You never know. Next up is Sabrina, the Teenage Gym Leader. The next 4 battles I will cover will be the remaining gym battles, assuming things don't go horribly wrong. So yeah. Back to the Saffron Gym. I decided to lead with Gyarados because of Bite, and another reason which I will explain when we get to Alakazam. But first, I just try to get Gyarados in tip-top condition until we get there. Bite isn't too great. In fact, Surf seems to be doing just as much damage. But, however, she isn't able to do much damage against me, so it isn't that big of an issue. Eventually, we make it to Alakazam in full health. I use Bite for a flinch chance. It doesn't happen, sadly, so Alakazam just uses Calm Mind. This Alakazam killed my Arcanine in my Fire Red run. It would build Calm Minds and just knock out one of my Pokemon. Same with the second last rival's Alakazam. So I knew I needed to knock out this Pokemon ASAP. I used Bite to get some damage and then I Hyper Beamed it. Gyarados has great attack and Alakazam has really weak physical defense, so that's why I did that. It doesn't miss, so I get badge number 5 without a death. Now it's time for Koga, the Poison Gym Leader. I lead with Nidoqueen since both Nidoqueen and Snorlax are bulky and have poison status immunities. Nidoqueen with her Type N and Snorlax with his ability. None of his Pokemon have anything that can do much to Nidoqueen. Their moves don't do a whole lot, and even moves like Minimize and Smokescreen make no difference if I decide to use Shockwave. Also, fun fact, I prepared for Weezing using Self-Destruct, but unlike Generation 1, only the Coffins know Self-Destruct, so I guess I got that wrong. Well, I guess that's lucky for me though. Between the gyms, thanks to getting Surf, I was able to catch a bunch of Pokemon, many of which are female, hooray! So now there are good options for both male and female Pokemon if, those die in my team. In terms of my team, nothing much has changed. Nidoqueen has learned superpowers, so I guess that's the only change? Maybe? However, Blaine was just a complete sweep thanks to Vaporeon and the move Surf. After dealing with the Seppi Islands off screen, I made it to the last gym. Gyarados pretty much wiped out Giovanni. There was a moment where Nidoqueen wouldn't die in one hit, so when Giovanni ran out of healing items, he was all out of luck. Now I have all 8 gym badges. Since Graveler's death, my team has been more than enough. However, Victory Road and the next rival fight, at least in my experience, are some of the toughest parts of this Nuzlocke. So I can't celebrate too early. Since Gyarados was able to handle Sabrina's biggest threat, Alakazam, and since my rival's Alakazam killed my starter in my last Nuzlocke here, I decided to lead with Gyarados. So now on to the battle. First up, Pidgeot, or Pidgeot. Anyway, one of the correct pronunciations is a lot bulkier than I expected. Maybe I shouldn't have retired mine so early. Either way, Pidgeot can't do much, so it gets knocked out. The rival sent out Rhyhorn, which is an easy KO thanks to its 4 times weakness to water. Growlithe gets one shot as well, and that leads us to Execute. Execute isn't a threat, but thanks to Growlithe's Intimidate, I felt the need to get rid of Gyarados' attack drop. I switch into Ninetales where I heal and try to land a Will-O-Wisp, which I miss so many times. I start to consider renaming Will-O-Wisp to Will-O-Miss. Eventually I land both Will-O-Wisp and Confuse Ray before switching back into Gyarados. This should allow me to KO Execute with full health on Gyarados, and it survives, with a sliver of health. It's a good thing Execute did the last bit of damage to itself. So how was Alakazam? A lot easier than expected. He got flinched by Bite, so I was able to knock it out without even having to resort to Hyper Beam. Last up is Blastoise, and he couldn't do much against Gyarados, so despite it being a long 1 versus 1, Gyarados had it in the bag. I like the team, but I have one more challenge left, making it through Victory Road. I'll do this off camera, so I'll count down, then I'll show you if any of my Pokemon died. Wish me luck. In 3, 2, 1, and... I made it without any deaths! Hooray! I decided to keep the team I had, since there isn't a particularly weak link on the team. I train my Pokemon all to level 55, and as per tradition, I get my friend Mr. Meteor64, aka Jordan. Yes, the one I named the rival after. He's recording with me. You can watch the video in its entirety. Links in the description. However, there are some issues with the recording of the Elite Four, which is a shame because, yeah, it's a shame. But regardless of that, so first up is Lorelei, or Lorelei, whichever pronunciation is correct. First up is Lorelei. Since she's an Ice-type Elite Four member, I decided to lead with Snorlax, which I taught Rock Slide to in preparation. It wasn't a complete sweep as I initially hoped it would be, although my slow Snorlax was able to handle the whole team, so Bruno is next. I lead with Vaporeon because of the Onixes. As for why I didn't pick Gyarados for the job, well, I didn't want to risk her as I knew Machamp has Rock Slide. It was a sweep most of the way, except for when Machamp used Bulk Up, and then my Vaporeon was only doing less than half damage, meaning it would take 3 turns to KO Machamp, who now has higher than normal attack. In response to this, I go for Haze, then this happened. Yep. Luckily, Vaporeon survives an attack that had a good chance to crit me, so my Vaporeon eventually took care of Machamp. Afterwards, I heal and take down the rest of Bruno's team. Next up is Poison Trainer Agatha. Now, I know that most people will think of her as a Ghost Trainer, but in my defense, only 3 of her Pokemon are actually Ghost type in this battle, whilst all 5 of her Pokemon are Poison. Regardless of that, first up is her Gengar. I lead with Nidoqueen, and she has an answer for all of Agatha's Pokemon. Hooray! Anyway, it's Gengar, and I get a great start. Not only does Shadow Ball take most of Gengar's HP, but it also lowers her special defense, meaning that a Shockwave can do the rest. Something that becomes useful as Gengar starts using Double Team. Shockwave would bypass that accuracy check, rendering Double Team useless in this scenario. Unfortunately, it took a while as I attacked myself multiple times due to confusion from Gengar's Confuse Ray, but Gengar eventually goes down. For the next 2 Pokemon, I keep Nidoqueen confused just to see if I can get away with it. Haunter goes down, but I hit myself once again against Agatha's strongest Gengar. Oh dear. After my 3rd attempt, Shadow Ball finally connects. After my Nidoqueen receives further damage, I decided to heal. I failed to finish her off straight away when she uses Hypnosis. Luckily, after using a full heal, she misses her 2nd Hypnosis, allowing me to finally finish Gengar. Golbat was next, and at no point Golbat was a serious risk to Nidoqueen, but it took forever to go down. Why? For starters, it took 3 Shockwaves to go down. However, since the Elite Four members have 2 full restores each, she would heal after 2 Shockwaves were done. So now that means it would take 7 to take down Golbat. But wait, that's not all. Golbat knows Confuse Ray, and out of the 5 times I tried to attack after Confuse Ray was used against me, I was only able to attack on 1 of those turns. Each of those fails took an additional turn. I would also have to heal after every time I got confused, and I wasted a turn swapping into Snorlax. So, if my calculations are correct, that should be 17 turns. Whew. Yeah, it took so long. At least Agatha's last Pokemon Arbok went down without much issues. Now, we're on Lance. I lead with Vaporeon since he has a very powerful Ice Beam. First up, we have Gyarados, who took many hits to take down. Ideally, I would like to use Ice Beams, but I had to conserve them for later Pokemon. I do have Ethers and Elixirs, but I'd rather not waste them during the battle. Gyarados never really threatened me, so it was more about managing my own resources. Lance then puts out his Dragonair, who almost gets taken down in 1 Ice Beam. Despite being Thunder Waved, I try to finish it off with a Quick Attack, and that just does not cut it. I played it safe so I could not be paralyzed for the next Pokemon, so after some shenanigans, I do just that. His second Dragonair uses Safeguard, so after remembering Quick Attack won't KO it, I use Surf, which did work. Lance's next Pokemon is his ace and strongest, Dragonite, which, despite being 4 times effective, Ice Beam barely did over half damage. Once again, Vaporeon just didn't get the KO. Vaporeon was able to get Dragonite out on the second hit at least. Same story for his last Pokemon, Aerodactyl. So, finally we are on to the last trainer of the Wedlock. As Lance was going through his dialogue, he mentioned that my rival became the champion. Up until this point, I hadn't told Jordan that I named the rival after him, so here's his live reaction.
But did you name the main character Jordan? Oh wait, you named the main antagonist Jordan. Dennis!
Yes, Jordan!
Did you name the main antagonist Jordan?
Wait, did it just say Jordan?
Yes.
Yes. I was a bit like, oh, is it already... Yeah, surprise! Going into the final battle of the Wedlock, I lead with Vaporeon. I get Sand attacked immediately, which could be an issue if I don't switch out. However, my Ice Beam crits Pidgeot, KOing it. That's a fantastic start of the battle. Executor is up, and I switch into Dojo. Not only for the flying type, but that gets rid of the accuracy drop from the Sand attack earlier. After doing a good bit of damage to Executor, I get put to sleep. It didn't have that much of an impact on the battle, however, Executor's Egg Bomb did, as it did over half damage. Had it been a crit, Dojo would have been dead. Luckily that didn't happen and Executor is gone. Rhydon is next, so I switch into Vaporeon. Takedown does barely nothing, so I surf back for another KO. Alakazam is up, and since Vaporeon has great special defense and HP, I decided to keep it in and not heal it. Not only did Vaporeon tank the hit, but Surf was a crit, unexpectedly KOing Alakazam in the process. Arcanine is up now, and unfortunately Vaporeon Surf isn't enough to KO it. Which is actually the best case scenario! The rival has 4 full restores in this battle, and Blastoise is going to be super bulky and it will take quite a while to KO it. And add to this crazy luck I'm having in this battle, after the rival used his last full restore, I got a crit KOing Arcanine! Finally, there's only one Pokemon standing in the way of this Wedlock challenge. Now, I'm going to show you my reaction to the start of the Blastoise battle. This is going to be a long one.
Split the duck tree.
I forgot about that! Yeah, thanks for the heal, mate. But wait, that's not all. I just think you're trying to... I think you're trying to help me. Oh my god, Rain Dance, it's boosted up the surf! What the heck is this battle? So now my water moves will be boosted, and keep in mind that whilst I have my Vaporeon out, Blastoise can't use any of his water moves. It took a number of turns, but finally it was time to end this Nuzlocke. With this button, this Nuzlocke formally comes to an end.
Use quick attack, make all the rest of them. Just do it slowly.
Bye, folks, unless if I flinch. Okay, time for take 2. Now to end this Nuzlocke. It's
Yeah, my Blastoise should have Skull Bash or Hyper Beam, something a bit more than that.
Okay, attempt number 2. Goodbye. Oh. After healing up, I was able to close this battle, winning the challenge. So now on to the MVP award. I decided to give the MVP to Astrop the Gyarados, since she was pivotal in more battles than any other Pokemon. Ioe was a close second, largely thanks to the Elite Four. I also want to mention Alicia the Nidoqueen, who was a contender for the title. This was the second time I awarded an MVP to Gyarados. So how was the Wedlock challenge? This Wedlock in particular wasn't hard, except for the beginning since I got a Charmander. I only had 4 deaths, which equals my lowest death count. Wow. Then again, I think a big reason for this was that I learned a lot from my Fire Red Nuzlocke, which I completed 3 years ago and only got 12 deaths. Something I found interesting was that the gender of the Pokemon you catch can be a big issue in this challenge. My lack of females posed a really interesting challenge through most of the Wedlock. I couldn't imagine what things would have been like if one of my female members died unexpectedly. I would recommend Wedlocking in a tougher Nuzlocke or add tougher rules onto it to make it harder. Because the harder the challenge, the more you get to play around with the pairs. My LGBT clause didn't come into play, although I did get 2 bisexual Pokemon through it, which were Strawberry the Venonat and Ioe the Vaporeon. In theory, I could have paired those 2. I like the clause even if it didn't come into play. I like the idea of rare events that are less than likely to occur, which makes it more memorable when it does actually happen. I would recommend this challenge for people that like to make stories out of their Nuzlocks. Introducing relationships would do that. So that's what I think of the Wedlock. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. You may like my similar style videos for the Starlock, the Monolock and my very own MVP Lock challenge. Goodbye, folks.